Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. One of the downsides of having a moron in charge of a party is that sometimes that moron will open his mouth and make claims which are totally unsubstantiated. One of them is when Humza Yousaf says if they get the majority of seats at the next general election, that will be a mandate to enter into negotiations for independence. The downside, of course, is that if you don't get the majority of seats, then that mandate is dead, and so, of course, is independence. We have all seen this, the opposition parties have all seen this, but the idiots in the SNP haven't seen this, and so they've gone along with it, because, you know, IQ of a boot. However, Tommy Sheppard has seen it, and he's come out and admitted that if they fail to win the most seats, they know independence has gone, it's finished, and it cannot be pushed for anymore. It seems Tommy Sheppard now regrets having a moron in charge of the party. I wouldn't worry for too long, Tommy. Things will change. You'll get someone who's still going to be on the wrong side of politics, but at least won't be quite as big a moron. Anyway, we'll take a look at this to see why Tommy Sheppard has realised, finally, what we have seen all along. Here goes. So Tommy Sheppard admits that defeat for the SNP will kill independence stone dead. Well, of course, because if you don't win the seats, then you know people don't want it. That is the whole point. While you've got some kind of, legitimacy, I can believe that you would still push it. But when you don't, you haven't, and you can't. Hooray! The bungling MP has given millions of Scots who are sick and tired of the Skexit debate a brilliant reason for voting against the Nats. It will finally spend the end for this poisonous and divisive constitutional debate. And there he is. A man who has, like the rest of us, finally seen the light, realised the truth, and knows now that should they lose, and they probably will, then independence is dead. SNP MP Tommy Sheppard has claimed the debate on independence will be over if the SNP fails to win the most seats in Scotland in a general election. What he also doesn't realise, of course, is that even if they do win the most seats in Scotland, it still is the end of independence. It's still no obligation for independence to happen. For some reason, they seem to think if they win the most seats, that is a mandate for independence. No, it isn't. The mandate can only come from a referendum, and unless they win the most votes at the general election, that isn't even on the cards, and there's no way they are winning the most votes. Writing in the National, he pleaded with the decent people of Scotland not to vote Labour. Well, no, the decent people of Scotland choose not to vote SNP. It's only the morons and the extremists and the really weird people who vote SNP. He's saying don't vote Labour simply because of the desperation to get rid of the Tories. So wait, you're saying don't vote Labour. You're begging them not to vote Labour, but they don't want to vote for the SNP, so you're effectively telling them vote Tory. Anyway, with his own Edinburgh East seat among those at risk in a Labour revival, he declared if the SNP lose the election in Scotland, the debate of independence stops. What he's effectively saying is he doesn't give a shit about independence. He's saying I don't want to lose my seat because I'm quite comfortable sitting here earning $80,000 a year or whatever it is that they earn as an MP, claiming all this money, claiming all my expenses, being big and important, and if I lose my seat, I'll have to go and get a real job. And God forbid that he goes and gets a real job. However, the strategy is likely to backfire, with poll after poll showing a large majority of Scots are sick and tired of the Skexit debate. Even people in the SNP are fed up with it. And this is after so many years of backbiting and bitterness. Pamela Nash, Chief Executive of the pro-UK group Scotland in Union, said, Tommy Sheppard is right. The SNP should listen when it is rejected at the ballot box. But we all know the SNP will never end its divisive and negative attempts to separate us. It's who they are, isn't it? Trying to make the forthcoming election campaign all about the Constitution shows that the SNP has nothing else to offer the people of Scotland. And the election should be about the issues that really matter to voters, such as the cost of living crisis, jobs And they're calling it, again, the climate emergency, which is the one thing it absolutely isn't. Because if it was an emergency, you'd be doing something now. You'd close down Vegas. You'd close down Disneyland. You'd close down Euro Disney. You'd ban private jets. These things aren't happening. It's not an emergency. Conservative MP Andrew Bowie said, "This is what is at stake this year. The chance to move Scotland forward." SNP MPs admit it now. If the SNP lose the general election in Scotland, the debate on independence stops. And in West Aberdeenshire and Kincardine, the only way to make this happen is to vote for me. Indeed, and you've got to vote for everyone who is not SNP. And it doesn't matter what your normal choice of party would be. Tactical voting all the way. If you are in a seat currently held by an SNP, look to see who's second and push for them. Even if it's not your party, whoever's second, get them in, because you want to get the SNP out. In the article, Mr. Sheppard also claimed that he is not a nationalist, despite representing the avowedly nationalist SNP, and he appeared to display a shaky grasp of geography, as he described Scotland as a medium-sized European country north of Britain. He's like, I don't think it is. It's a very small country north of Britain. The MP even undermined his own party strategy of declaring the general election a de facto vote on independence, with Humza Yousaf insisting he will have a mandate to begin talks on breaking up Britain if the SNP wins the most seats. No, he won't. He really doesn't understand what a mandate is. All he'll have, if he has the most seats, is the most seats. It's not a mandate. It's meaningless. And the British government are just going to go, meh, got a phone call here from Humza. I'll tell him to sod off and put the phone down. This is the trouble. They think they're far more important than they are. Humza Yousaf really thinks that if he gets the most seats, that he can have independence. Humza Yousaf is delusional. Anyway, Mr. Sheppard wrote, at some stage we will vote to establish a new independent country. No, you won't. And the campaign to win that vote must be broad and diverse, involving every party and organisation in the movement for national autonomy. But that is not where we are now, and that is not where we are voting for in this year's general election. Despite his blunder on the Skexit campaign, amongst many blunders, I must be honest, which is already being seized on by pro-UK opponents, his Westminster ally Pete Wishart responded on X by posting, "Spot on and typically thoughtful article by Tommy. There is no route to independence without the SNP winning in Scotland." Wow, they really think the SNP is important. The SNP may not even exist in a year's time. Scottish independence is never going to happen because too many Scots are intelligent. Too many Scots know exactly which side of the bread, their butter is on, and they know full well that Scotland, run exclusively by the SNP, would be a failed state, third world, and an absolute car crash within, if not days, certainly weeks of achieving independence. It would be a one-party, Marxist, totalitarian state, and it would fail. And everybody knows it. Anyway, I shall round off there and come up. But it's nice to see at least Tommy Sheppard admitting what we all know, that independence is dead. Oh dear. Well done, Tommy. Probably wasn't what you intended to say. But sometimes, when you're not paying attention, the truth comes out. Coming up. I do get the impression Tommy Sheppard sometimes opens his mouth and speaks without first engaging his very small brain. But of course he's not alone in that. That happens a lot amongst politicians of all flavours, of all sides. They're filled with their own narcissistic self-importance, and they seem to think that everything they say is wonderful, wise and deep. And it often isn't. But sometimes, like this time, the truth comes out because they fail to see the significance of the words they're using. And he's quite right. Should Scotland fail to get an SNP majority, then independence is done. And come the next election, it's the chance. And of course, tactical voting. Get the SNP out in every seat and get them down, even if it has to be single figures. And they'll be bankrupted. And that'll be it. Game over. I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit that subscribe button. We're getting up there. We're going to be nearly 91 9,100. We're inches away from it, which would be good. I mean, it's a hell of a jump very quickly. So, yeah, down to you lot. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Take care. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.